We have the latest iteration of the AI trade scare, don't we? It seems to be rolling from one sector to another. Before everybody in a white-collar job decides to go off and retrain as an electrician or a plumber, what can you tell us about the latest instalment?
It does sound like a good idea, doesn't it? If you become a person who's good at installing data centers, then you're going to be minted for the next few years, Anna. But, you know, as far as investments are concerned and what the stock market is doing, this latest event is kind of interesting because it's sort of come from nowhere. This company that used to be like a karaoke company reinvented itself as a logistics firm instead. And people are looking at the business model that it has and how it's using AI to allow for scalability at reduced costs and thinking, well, this is one more area where AI can excel and can therefore do the job that other companies are doing at much more expensive levels, much more cheaply, and undercut them. I think there's a really good quote in the story, which is about this idea, the level of paranoia is category 5. So basically, people are looking at what is AI going to be able to do sometime soon? Which companies are vulnerable? Which ones are the ones with the high costs, high human kind of work hours, labor intensive, those kinds of things? Those are the models that are under pressure at the moment. And so that's where we're seeing that sort of, you know, series of selling efforts coming in right across the market.
It imported karaoke machines. So it was tangentially in the logistics business. Bad for America, good for Asia. Is that the trade?
It's definitely one thing that we've been seeing playing out. I've been really interested in this, just how much the US market has underperformed this year, Guy. So the S&P went negative year to date yesterday in trading. In Asia, we're still up despite a setback today, you know, more than 10% for the year to date. And part of that is this idea that you know, Asia is at the top of the sort of supply chain when it comes to all of the AI infrastructure, equipment, chips. And some of the companies are doing extremely well as a result of that, not just the memory chip makers in South Korea, but also in Taiwan, TSMC, and the Japanese firms as well. And so that's leading to this big outperformance. But I think that there's more than that because it's not just Asia, right? Over in Latin America, the market's up 20% this year. So it's more this idea that the rest of the world is outperforming the US quite considerably at the moment.
Paul, when I think chips now, I think inflation. We have CPI out of the US later today. How vulnerable are the markets to a higher print?
Yeah, so the Fed pricing has been wobbling around quite a lot at the moment, hasn't it? And the payrolls that we got earlier in the week, confusing us enough, just because it was on a Wednesday, not a Friday, sort of had everybody pushing back again their forecast for when the Fed would begin cutting interest rates. If we get high inflation on top of that, then, you know, people are going to be thinking, well, how on earth is Walsh going to be able to convince the FOMC to do those cuts that we decided to price in? And that could be bad news, not just for the bond market, but also for the stock market, for people who've been counting on the idea that the Fed is going to be lowering interest rates through the course of this year, based on the fact that we're going to have a new Fed chair that would lead the rest of the board to that decision.